In our first story, a strike by teachers in colleges of education is threatening to throw the academic calendar out of gear with serious implications for the students. First-year students who are now beginning a new Bachelor of Education course are yet to attend their first lecture, while continuing students have missed out on weeks of supervision for the semester. Their teachers, together with all other members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, abandoned the classrooms over 3 weeks ago to demand payment of their market premiums and book allowances. CTAG has also vowed to stay away from any negotiations with government until salaries of members frozen due to the strike have been paid. It comes ahead of a scheduled meeting Thursday between the association and the National Labour Commission. Labour firms Erastus Asare-Donkor has been gauging the mood on some campuses and our reports.
Colleges of Education teachers have been on strike for nearly a month, demanding unpaid salaries and other benefits due them after the colleges attained tertiary status. No academic work has taken place since school reopened for the current semester. Already, the 16-week academic calendar is running out as many campuses are virtually deserted. A visit to St. Louis and Wesley Colleges of Education reveals students have been idling about. Academic work is affected and some want to know their fate.
We eat, sleep, doing nothing. So if they are not resuming, they should let us go home and start the semester on January. Because we are wasting our money and are wasting our time here.
I am in level 200 and I'm supposed to be taking through methodology this semester. But here's the situation where lecturers aren't coming on campus to take me through that. And at the end of the day, when I go out to teach, I would apply those ways.
As for the strike, it's affecting us. It has made our classes and our studies down.
Vice Principal of St. Louis College of Education, Solomon Safo, says a prolonged strike will affect academic work.
Devastating impact will be on the level 300 students. They are out there for about 2 months, and because of this strike, they have not received any supervision for teaching practice. And what is going to even affect them most is how to write their action research project work. They have not been introduced to that, and nobody has gone there to supervise their action research project work. And this will have a drastic effect on teacher education.
Members of CTAG are set to meet with the National Labour Commission. Their president, Prince Obinghema, has served notice the association will not sit at a round table with government until frozen salaries for November are paid.
We are serving a very strong notice of our resolve not to enter into any meaningful discussion, and I repeat, not to enter into any meaningful discussion with any stakeholder until the tutors are paid their November salary, which has been unlawfully frozen. The Labour Commission is a court. They have high court powers. And if you want to be law-abiding, you don't get invitation or you don't get a summons to appear before the court and say you won't go unless you don't respect the 1992 Republican Constitution and the arrangements made by the Constitution. We are law-abiding. We'll appear before the commission with a team of our lawyers tomorrow and then take it up from there in the face of the law.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asare-Donkor, Kumasi.
Well, elsewhere, students of the Accra College of Education say they will vacate the premises of the school on Friday if the impasse between their teachers and government is not resolved. Though majority of the students have already left the campus, there are a few more who have decided they will have to leave too. Nancy Amafajira-Dozie was on the Accra College of Education and our reports.
The campus of the Accra College of Education was really quiet, with just a few students studying under heads, with really nothing else to do. The worst affected by the teachers' actions are the level 100s following an alteration in the course duration.
My time, my money, my resources, everything is being affected. And even if we come here, we do nothing, just sit there and go to class, eat, go to class, nothing.
Teachers also come, there's going to be some burden on us because we have to cover the topics for this term within a short period. The routine has been that from whenever we wake up from our bed, we dress up and then come to sit in the classroom with no teachers. We just have to take our books and then learn on our own.
Shortly after our interactions, we sighted another set of students leaving the campus. Benjamin Krampa says he no longer feels comfortable on campus.
Personally, I've not been to class since I reported on the 29th of October. So tomorrow will be 1 month and we've not seen our lecturers. So as you can see, I'm leaving. Though it is not authorized, but I have to leave. I have to go home to do some stuff.
Beyond the absence of his teachers, he feels CTAG has been disrespected by government.
I think CTAG, which is the College of Education Teachers, they have been taken for granted for long. If this had been the university teachers of Ghana situation, I think they would have settled them long ago. We saw what happened at Duquesne University and they settled them. But here is the case, it's almost a month and it's as if the government is not hearing their plight.
So this is the 1C classroom and you see the names of students who are supposed to be in this class. So I suspect they're supposed to be a Form 1 class or a Level 100 class. But, okay. You enter and you realize that there's virtually nothing going on in the classroom. Empty seats are all that you see. Ordinarily, teachers are supposed to be in class by now, handling courses and teaching the students. But as you see, nothing has happened. We hear the sound of an organ in another classroom. There they are, the college's choir, making use of the free period to master the keyboard.
We here also are the college choir. And sometimes you have to come and then rehearse on songs to just entertain ourselves because the place is very boring and then we just can't stay without doing anything.
The SLC president has had to hold the fort. It hasn't been easy for him though, in his bid to control the agitated student.
For level 200s, you know, they are my colleagues. And for them, you can't control them. So you can't prevent them from going home. So to be sincere with you, most of them have run away. Yeah, it is the level 100s that are in now.
He says government will have to intervene and get the lecturers back to the classroom.
This is a pure fight between the government and CTAG. But we are do suffering. Honestly, we are do suffering. And so all I can say is that we are pleading. We are pleading with the government to come to our aid.
The students are meanwhile being advised by the administration to leave campus by Friday if the impasse is not resolved. Nancy Emefa Jadosi, Joy News.
Teachers who sexually assault their students will be sacked when found out. That's a warning from the Ashanti Regional Director of Education, Mary Owusu-Echan, following recent reports of such scandals in some schools in the region. She told the ceremony to inaugurate the governing board for the Akumadang Senior High School. The GS Disciplinary Committee has commenced investigations into such reports. Naya Jima reports.
Kumasi Secondary Technical, St. Louis, Kumasi Girls and Kumasi Senior High School, among others, have come under the spotlight for cases of alleged sexual abuse. In the case of Kumasi High School, an assistant headmaster is accused of sodomizing students. Mrs. Owusu-Echan has been tough, ordering interdiction of alleged culprits to allow for investigation. In one instance, she led alleged victim to file a complaint at the police station against a suspect. She says the service will not hesitate to take punitive action, including termination of appointment of teachers who are found culpable.
As I stand here today, the Regional Disciplinary Committee is sitting on about 3 or 4 cases, 4 of such cases involving teachers assaulting students sexually. And I want to caution my teachers, especially the male ones, that any such attempt, even if it's an attempt, if it is brought to our attention, you will be disciplined, you will be sanctioned. And the attempt itself attracts termination of appointment.
District Chief Executive for Offenso North, David Kwesi Asare, tasked School Management Board to be on the lookout for people who abuse their positions.
May I use this opportunity to talk about the indiscriminate sexual relationship between students of second cycle institutions. and teachers or school authorities in this country overlaid. This is a clear breach of the noble profession and the code of conduct of Ghana Education Service. It is also a criminal conduct for any school authority to sexually abuse a student, be it a male or female, whether the student consents to it or not. I would therefore call on the stakeholders, including the school authority, PTA, and the board to do all that they could to prevent this canker.
Section 14 of the Education Act of 1961 mandates public higher institutions of education to appoint board of governors to help steer affairs. It is to ensure community participation in the smooth running of schools, for which Mrs. Osu Echao calls for effective collaboration.
The academic excellence of any school depends to a large extent on good discipline. As board members, it's binding on you to help the school authorities to maintain a high level of discipline at all times to promote effective teaching and learning, which would improve the WASSCE results of the school. Let me take this opportunity to advise board members to let the document Code of Discipline for Senior High School serve as a guide when handling disciplinary cases involving students.
Nana Aljima reporting.
At the shopping mall, school, law court, banks and other places where many convert to access a particular item of value or service, the general rule is that first come, first served, and the early bird catches the worm. Though it's usually a fairer way to distribute services when demand is at a peak and also to avoid chaos, this is not necessarily the case at the emergency ward. Often patients have complained that they have been sidelined in such instances, but the health workers say there is justification for this. Matilda Omega looks for answers in this Joy News Health Desk special report.
At every point in time, whether morning, afternoon or night, there's a critically ill patient requiring more than the normal interventions from the emergency services staff to stay alive. Similar to a busy restaurant, if it's packed, there's going to be a longer wait line. Unlike a walk-in, an emergency room is not a first-come, first-served place. Emergency department professionals have to determine the severity of a patient's ailment and recognize if they need medical attention urgently, and they do this with a process called triage, which simply means to sort. This process is what sometimes accounts for the long wait in the emergency room, leaving people frustrated and angry at health professionals. Emergency physician at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Edem Komla Nani says, whilst waiting for medical attention may seem tedious, it is important for people to understand the process.
We have a formal triaging system that we use, which helps us to tell whose illness is more severe than the other, so that we can take care of the more severely ill people before we get to the less ill people. So yes, that to some extent brings dissatisfaction for those who are less ill, but then in the long run it actually brings the most good for the most people, in that at the end of the day we get to save the most lives. And because sometimes the communication may not be as good as it should be, the understanding isn't there. I think the other thing we may have to improve is the communication with our patients, so they understand that it's not about first come, first served, but whose illness needs the most urgent attention.
At the moment, the country has between 50 and 60 functional ambulances. The widening gap for pre-hospital care, transportation to the emergency room, where the no-bed syndrome continues to claim lives, remains a big issue in the health sector. At the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, a department is dedicated to emergencies. Dr. Emmanuel Srohwenyo is a medical director.
We have put in place a series of strategies. One of them is to set up what we call bed management committee. And so this is a team of doctors, nurses, and administrators. And then their job is to go around the hospital or the walls and make sure that wherever there is bed, they mark it, that there is a bed here. And then when the emergency department is getting full, then patients are transferred to those places so that at all times we have bed at the emergency department.
CEO of the Ghana Ambulance Service, Dr. Ahmed Zakaria, says whilst the service awaits to take delivery of the 270 ambulances promised by government next year, there is an urgent need for schools to train people in basic first aid.
We can bridge the gap by training what we call volunteers and first responders within the communities. You know, if you go to many developed countries, every average person within the community is trained in basic life support skills. So when that happens, even in the house, the individual is able to start some first aid before they send for the emergency services to arrive. So we should be able to get into the communities, target the communities, the drivers, the schools. But I would even recommend that we catch them young, and therefore we should be able to include in our curricula first aid training. So that once we know that every child is trained in some basic life support, the child grows with it.
Meanwhile, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital has taken delivery of advanced support ambulance with equipment and medications on board to deal with emergencies. For Joy News, Matilda Pamaga, Accra.
Cabinet is giving approval for the construction of 10 coastal fishing harbours and landing sites for the fisheries sector. Parliament is expected to subsequently approve the $235 million project to be located in selected regions. Speaking at a midweek press briefing, Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah stated the construction of the facilities is in line with the NPP government's vision of transforming the fisheries sector. The project, amongst others, is expected to prevent and minimize post-harvest losses and also add value to fish caught by artisanal fishermen.
The 10 identified sites where the landing beaches will be constructed are Teshi in the Greater Accra region, Axim in the Western region, Dix Cove in the Western region, Elmina in the Central region, Winneba in the Central region as well, Mumford in the Central region, Senyabreku in the Central region, Fetegoma also in the Central region, Muri in the Central region, Keta in the Volta region. The development of the fish landing sites and ports is aimed at ensuring safe launching and landing of particularly artisanal fishing and canoes. It's also aimed at creating and maintaining a hygienic environment for the processing and the handling of fish, preventing and minimizing post-harvest losses and adding value to the fish caught by artisanal fishermen. Ladies and gentlemen, the fisheries sector plays a major role in the Ghanaian economy. It contributes about 3% of our GDP, we are told, and also has significant indirect contributions to the economy. And these include employment opportunities for marine fishermen, boatyard workers, suppliers of auxiliary goods and services, and exporting of the fish products to earn foreign exchange for the country. One of the significant expectations we have when these fish landing sites are completed is that about 12% of our total national fish stock, which is currently exported, will go up. And the completion of this project is expected to increase export volumes and directly increase the foreign exchange earnings of the country. There is an 11th landing site or fishing harbor that is to be constructed, but that is not to be constructed under the commercial and financing agreements that are currently before Parliament. That is to be constructed with a grant from the Chinese government, and that is the Jamestown Fishing Port Complex project. We have secured a grant for that one. That one doesn't, of course, require parliamentary approval, so you won't find it in the list that is going to Parliament.
Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Energy Committee, Dela Soa, on Wednesday took firewood, a causing lump to Parliament to back her argument that government has failed in its rural electrification program. She told the House it is worrying that communities continue to live in the dark as a result of government's failure. Dela Soa also claimed Energy Minister Peter Mewu has admitted Dumso is back, or the intermittent power outages is back. She was contributing to the debate of the 2019 budget in the House.
Women in my communities, they are suffering. All they are asking is to be connected to the electrical grid. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister says that the budget gives hopes and aspirations to people. The simple hope of my people is that they want to stop using Vinyabu as electricity. That's all they're asking. They are not asking for much. Let us stop using Vinyabu as our source of light. Mr. Speaker, they also ask, the government is rolling out an LPG program. They want to be part of it. Mr. Speaker, a lot of them, this is what they use to cook their food. Mr. Speaker, in this modern age, they are using this, and this is teak wood. Mr. Speaker, I hear one teak necklace in China costs $6,000. Mr. Speaker, my people are burning it because they have no other source. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I learned a new word. I learned Dumkra and Dumsok. I was happy that the Minister of Energy, Honorable Peter Meu, admitted that Dumsok is back. Further, we've been fighting is Dumsok, but now he has admitted that we are in Dumsok.
Energy Minister John Peter Meu denied ever making any such admissions. He stormed the House to deny the claim.
It's available for everybody seated here to have a look. Mr. Speaker, never did I mention that we return to John Mohammed-led Dumsok regime in this country. Mr. Speaker, never did I say that Dumsok is back under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Mr. Speaker, during question time, I was asked a question because I brought in all the technical people that are responsible for energy supply, transmission, generation, distribution, and metering in this country. Question asked was, are we going to expect intermittent power shortages called Dumsok? The answer given, Mr. Speaker, was technical issues that trigger intermittent power supply as a result of transmission failures, of course, should be expected because these are unforeseen contingencies, and these are the words we use. We never said, or I never said that we return to Dumsok. Our good friends at the other side, Mr. Speaker, are praying fervently for this country to be taken back to the 3 years Dumsok. Thank you. 3 years is that life that we have experienced in this country. I can tell you that, Mr. Speaker, we are beyond that era, and this country will.
The minority in Parliament has criticized government's plans to allocate seed money for the construction of a national cathedral. Former Deputy Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayine is also questioning why the Finance Minister did not provide details of the plan to construct the edifice in the 2019 budget. Contributing to the debate of the budget statement, he questioned why more than $100 million is being used to construct the cathedral when poverty is rife in the country.
The minister cannot purport on our behalf to make monies available for the construction of the National Cathedral without the approval of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, that will be against the grain of Article 174 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. In fact, if any money is allocated as seed money for the construction of the National Cathedral, that will be unconstitutional. Mr. Speaker, I have done a bit of research on this matter, and the Financial Times of London has reported that the total cost of construction of the National Cathedral is going to be 100 million United States of American dollars. Mr. Speaker, I have the Financial Times report here, and I'll make it available to the table office. They have given the details of the construction and the fact that it is estimated to cost 100 million United States of American dollars. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask, on a serious note, what in God's name are we doing with 100 million cathedral when we cannot afford to feed the hungry amongst us? Mr. Speaker, what in God's name are we doing with a $100 million cathedral when we cannot clothe the naked among us? Mr. Speaker, or provide shelter to the homeless? Mr. Speaker, what in God's name are we doing with a $100 million cathedral when we don't have good roads or hospitals for the sick? What in God's name, Mr. Speaker, are we doing with a $100 million cathedral when our children sit under trees to learn?
But Deputy Attorney General Joseph Penka says government will build the cathedral to the glory of God.
Let me state without equivocation that the cathedral will be done by the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. That will be done. And we are going to ensure that due process is followed in executing same for posterity to judge. I have no doubt that 10, 20 years from now, Ghanaians will look back, and all those who had some elements of skepticism will have a change of mind that it has indeed served its purpose. And there's no dispute about that.
Government has praised Star Ghana for its active role in the democratic development of the country. At the launch of Star Ghana Foundation in the Central Region, the Central Regional Minister Kwamina Duncan called on other civil society organizations and development partners to invest more in projects that will uplift the poor. Richard Kwejunyako has more.
The launch of the Star Ghana Foundation in Cape Coast means the foundation is winning itself from Star Ghana and will seek support and galvanize resources from within Ghana to continue putting smiles on the faces of Ghanaians. The foundation wants to be an independently owned Ghanaian entity that will enjoy a level of autonomy and flexibility feeding into the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda spearheaded by the President. Speaking at the event, Central Regional Minister Kwamina Duncan indicated government was excited about the support and achievement of Star Ghana in the affairs of the country.
That they have extended their tentacles in the very things which must be placed at the doorstep and the disposal of the ordinary Ghanaian to make life better. Whether it is access to water, to education, to healthcare, I have seen Star Ghana do all of this. Migrated on that vertical line from the very bottom to the matters which impinge on families and to the very top national issues, i.e. accountability, corruption, transparency, and even at the very core of our democracy, matters relating to elections. So that is why I summed it up and asked, tell me areas in our national life and which make us progress as a country where you will not find Star Ghana.
A member of the governing council of the Star Ghana Foundation, Nana Asantwa Afajinu, explains to Joy News what their new status means.
The Star Ghana program was a donor-funded program, funded by DFID, the European Union, and Danida, to support programming around strengthening transparency, accountability, and responsiveness in Ghana. And so that has been what has, we've had Star Phase 1, we've had Star Phase 2. Star Phase 2 is ending in 2020. And this Star Ghana Foundation is coming out of that because the idea is that we want to be able to have an independently owned Ghanaian entity that supports programming around these issues.
The Ghana Chamber of Commerce in the Central Region donated 5,000 Ghana cedis to support the activities of the foundation. Richard Kwejunyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
The Bongo District Assembly is looking for investors willing to put resources into a clay factory in the area. According to the District Chief Executive Peter Ayingbesa, the District Assembly has already developed a business plan and conducted environmental impact assessments to enable them tap clay deposits in the area, which he says could last over 42 years. He made the revelations known at a town hall meeting at Bongo in the Upper East region, from where correspondent Albert Sori reports.
The Bongo District Town Hall meetings are held every year to enable the District Assembly account to citizens of the area for the year under review. Officials of the Bongo District Assembly take turns to update the citizens on progress of works and setbacks in various sectors of the economy, and opportunity is given to the citizens to ask questions, make inputs, and the ways forward are discussed. Speaking to journalists after this year's Bongo District Town Hall meeting, District Chief Executive Peter Ayembesa revealed plans to set up a clay factory in the area.
We have put every resource, we have put everything together, and as we talk down, where we have gotten to is that we have to do a business plan, which we have done. We have to do an environmental impact assessment report, which we have done. We are ready to take off. We are looking for investors. Through your medium, I'm calling on potential investors to come to Bongo, and that the clay, the raw material, can last for over 42 years, and that is even within only one locality, one location. People thought that government was going to take it upon itself to begin to open factory. That is not the case. Besides, factory is not open in one day.
He also touched on issues of the road network and health in the district.
I'm talking of the almighty Bolongo-Gorogo Bridge that collapsed in 2013 under their watch when the people demonstrated and they were not able to fix it. We have come and we are fixing it. I'm talking about the Bolongo Bridge that collapsed several years ago under their watch. The watch, they didn't do anything. We have fixed it. I'm talking about all the culverts from Soko to Namoi border that we have fixed. I'm talking about the Gori Johnson to Fia, all the culverts that were broken. They allowed them to go rotten and we have fixed them. This is about the second year running that hospital has recorded zero mortality rate in the district. In fact, it didn't come about on a silver platter. It didn't come about sitting down. It involves a total and collective effort. The district health management team worked assiduously towards achieving this. The hospital administrator, the only doctor, Dr. Gudu, and his other doctor worked so hard to achieve these gains that we have made, and we would continue to be on the lead. We will continue to work hard to ensure that we never record any maternal mortality in our district.
In a speech read on her behalf, Upper East Regional Minister Paulina Patience Abayage revealed that government spending next year will include the completion of some major roads in the Upper East region.
An amount of $2 billion will be spent on infrastructure in the year, which will include the completion of the Bolga-Boku-Pulmakum Road, Nabrongo-Naga and Chichuluga-Sandema Waste roads. Phase 1 of the railway line from Kumasi to Paga will start next year. In the same year, work will begin on the construction of 200,000 housing units in all regional capitals to ease the accommodation challenges of public servants in the country.
Albert Sori, Joy News, Bongo.
Now, Reverend Minister Dr. Bamfo Etiemu has described as probably the greatest legacy of the late Member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Wuogon, Emmanuel Ejiako, what has been circulated as his last Facebook post, in which the MP showed kindness to a constituent who visited him in his office right before her passing. The preacher, at the one-week celebration, called on the Christian community in Ghana to emulate the life of the late MP by doing God's work, regardless of the position they occupy. Reverend Dr. Bamfo said this when President Akufo-Addo, Vice President Dr. Mamadou Bawumia, MPs, family, and a cross-section of Ghanaians gathered at the Graceland Presbyterian Church for the service.
There was somber mood at the Graceland Presbyterian Church, where the late legislature worshipped when his family and the president and his vice
gathered in the company of a cross-section of Ghanaians to mark 1 week since his death. In a grieving mood, the preacher, Reverend Minister Dr. Bamfo Atiemu, called on the Christian community to emulate the life of the former MP.
For me, the greatest tribute was what is being circulated widely as his last posting on his Facebook page. When he said a certain woman visited him in the office, the woman did not feel well or look so well, he advised the woman to go to see the doctor. A few minutes, he followed up to the hospital only to be told that the woman had passed away. And then he wrote, "My brother, this life is leading us nowhere." But then he also quoted Psalm 90 verse 12, and which said, or which reads, "Teach me to number my days, that I may apply my heart to wisdom."
Wife of the deceased, Josephine Nana Ejako, eulogized her late husband.
Papa de oye evangelist, oye obia no ya sorry penin. Onim Bible muye.
To us, he was an evangelist and a generous person. In fact, he was overly generous, but that was what God had in stock for him.
Na waye na djuma nti onyame emrepem onyame nankasa afa na de ko nti na brabo de eye Kristo ne etumu fache abrabo.
The family says final funeral rites would be announced in due course.
Head of Ghana's mission to the African Union, Amachum Amwa, is urging Ghanaians to join President Akufo-Addo in his quest to rid the country of corruption. She believes African leaders cannot win this fight without the active support of citizens. She has been speaking at a session of the African Union Dialogue on Governance ongoing in Botswana, moderated by Joy News' Joseph Akable.
I have on my immediate left, she is the ambassador, Ghana's ambassador to Ethiopia, and head of the mission to the African Union, Her Excellency Amachum Amwa. Thanks so much for joining us. I also have the Director of Political Affairs, Dr. Kabeli Matlosa. Thank you for joining us, Doc.
Welcome.
I also have Apollos Nwafo. He is the Pan-African Director of Oxfam International. Thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you.
And the African Union Advisory Board on Corruption, Charity Hanin Inchimunya. I hope I got that right. I was trying. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start a conversation with Doc because Doc is with the African Union, Director of Political Affairs. First, how important is having this conversation from a gender angle? Why should we be talking about the impact of corruption on women? Why should we have this conversation?
Thank you for having us on this important conversation. On TV and radio. For me, I think I would like to highlight 3 areas in which this is very important. The first, which is at the higher strategic level, is that we have, as Africa, through the African Union as the premier continental institution, we have a very important vision as articulated in Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. And in that important development blueprint of our continent, the vision of Africa's vision is very clear. If I could just, say it as it is, so that we have a context.
Okay.
We envision an integrated, united, integrated, and prosperous and peaceful Africa. United, integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the international arena. That's our vision. And there's no way in which we can achieve that vision, that noble vision, without paying a keen attention on the fight against corruption. There's no way we can achieve that also without putting women at the front of in driving that agenda. Remember, women on the continent of 1.2 billion people, if I'm correct with my statistics, women constitute more than 50% of that. So we are being realistic. We have to address issues of corruption because we can't achieve that vision if corruption remains as intense as it is on the continent. We cannot achieve this without addressing women's rights because they constitute a majority in inequality.
That's an important point Doc is making. I'll come back to you, Doc, briefly. But let me come to Charity quickly. Doc puts the conversation in the right perspective, talking about the situation and the impact. My question is, for such engagements, you have delegates coming from different countries. I know people who tell me that, you are coming to talk and you go back to your countries. How do you ensure that the ideas that we are espousing here gets implemented in the African states? How do you think we get that working?
Thank you so much for that question. In terms of getting the ideas that we have discussed here being implemented within the member states, actually the onus lies on a lot of us as stakeholders. For those delegates that are coming from state institutions in their countries of residence, it is expected that once they go back, they should be able to ensure that the various policies that are contained in the frameworks we have are actually being implemented at the local level.
One of such delegates is my ambassador, Her Excellency. She's here with us. I'm sure you're representing the President. You'll be going back to tell the President about the conversation you're having. First, what's your own views on how corruption and women, what's your own personal views on that matter?
Thank you very much for this question. Corruption. It's something that brings a whole lot of emotions out of people. To me, it's cost Africa a lot, and I always ask myself this question. Ghana has been blessed by so many resources, but look at our situation. We shouldn't be where we are. We should be far ahead, but due to a number of reasons, including corruption, we are lagging behind. So my personal view on corruption is it's a bane on society, and we have to fight it with everything that we have.
How do we solve it practically? How do we do that?
It's supposed to be a fight that should be embarked upon by everybody in society, both government, public, and private sector. Yeah, because it takes place everywhere. And corruption comes in many forms. It's not only bribery, which most often when you mention corruption, that is what comes into mind. It's exchange of funds. No, it's a whole lot more than that. So we need to educate our people for them to know and be able to identify corrupt acts.
My name is Israel Lai. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.
Is Joy News Prime.